All right, in this video I'm going to discuss Daikin's VRV Emerion line with an air handling unit integration kit, which this was a first for me to install, which was pretty cool. So we've got the 4 outside condensing units, and then we also have an air handling unit in the penthouse. The air handling unit is the makeup air unit, so it will take in fresh outside air. It will get tempered, and it will be fresh air makeup to all the floors of this building. In this video, I'm going to strictly talk about the refrigeration side of this system. I will do a part 2 on this that'll talk about the air handling units, energy recovery, and some of the controls. So we'll stick to just the refrigeration for this. So on this project, I did draw out the refrigeration lines from the outside unit to the indoor coils. So it is a 2-circuit system. So our circuit 1 here, let me zoom in. So we got our circuit 1 here, which will be our master for circuit 1. This other one here is just daisy chained to that for capacity reasons. This is the master for circuit 2, and again, that would just be a secondary just for capacity unit as well. On the air handling unit, there are 2 coils. First one for circuit 1, the other for circuit 2. So on this one here, I'm going to show the power contractor what power to each condensing unit is. I also put in here what the terminal points are for the controls contractor on how we're going to control this. And then I also draw in what the refrigeration piping schematic looks like as well. So the purpose of putting this thing together is so that power controls and piping are all utilizing the same, and they know what each other are doing. So I size up the refrigerant as it's drawn here based off of the submittal. So I got the sizing over here so that the installers know what the size points will be for refrigeration. I put in where the ref nets are going and what that orientation will look like. This one was a little bit tricky with having 2 sets of ref nets. So definitely the orientation, getting those right, is critical. What was cool, the expansion valve kit for the air handling unit, I've yet to install this style before, so that was pretty neat. So these expansion valve kits are only on the liquid line. Now let me back up here. All right, so expansion valve kit, we got 4 of them. Okay, so this is for the 4 liquid lines that service each of these coils, 2 and 2. So 2 for circuit 1, 2 for circuit 2. And they go back to these control boxes. So each of the outside units has its own control box. So this would be circuit 1's master. This will be circuit 1's secondary, circuit 2 master, circuit 2 secondary. Okay. So like before, I said that we had the secondary unit was only for capacity reasons. You'll see here how this is daisy chained as far as how our wiring goes. Same for circuit 2. Then we come up here up at the top, and that is our X4, X5 on both that gets daisy chained. So indoors next to the air handling unit, we will have 4 control boxes like we have here. Here are the terminals associated with this refrigeration system. Inside these control boxes are a lot more terminals for the BMS portion. I won't get into that. I strictly covered for this what it would take to make this refrigeration system work. So let's see here. The other item was the iTouch Manager. What this is just an LCD screen for the facilities people, so that they can facilities techs, so that they can see the graphics of this system and what's going on with it. All right, so I'll do the wiring here first. So we talked about the refrigeration piping. The wiring here shows, so here's what the terminals are on the outside equipment, and how I illustrate what's got to tie to what is here. So I get it sized as, I think for the most part, everything here is 18.2. 18.2. Okay, yeah. So everything's 18.2 stranded, non-shielded wire, with exception of our expansion valve kit. So we'll do the outside equipment, and then I'll talk about this. So our XO and X1 coming off of our master is going to our control box for the master, and then it daisy chains over to our secondary control box. So from the outside unit, we've got that run, our XO and X1. What do we got here? I'm trying to refresh my memory. Okay, all right. So then X4 and X5, those get daisy chained as well, and those go back to the iTouch Manager. So the iTouch Manager will accept this 4 on the same one. If it was more than that, I believe we need an additional screen. But basically, we get daisy chained together. So our XOX1 from each of our primary or master outside units goes right to the iTouch Manager, and they both get terminated at F1 and F2 ports. This needs 24 volt power to function. So the L and the N represent the power supply to the iTouch Manager for that to work, so that facilities can see the graphics. And what I mean by graphics, meaning they're going to see what the temperatures are coming in and out for the coils. It'll show a lot of stuff that they want to see. So from a wiring perspective, that's pretty much it. I have all the terminals here and how they connect to each other, then how they get back to these control boxes indoors. So now, so our expansion valve kits were piped in line downstream from the ref net fitting, and those were, we did run 18.6 stranded, but there were only 4 wire terminals on this particular expansion valve kit. So we did not utilize, I believe it was Y5 for whatever reason. But anyways, basically you would, there was a wiring harness at the expansion valve with like a 3-foot whip on it. And we ended up just removing that whip and connecting to the harness right at the expansion valve. So that ended up being just, again, like five wires terminated appropriately based on where they were required for under the expansion valve at each of the control boxes. All right, so the other portion of this for the control boxes were the thermistors. Okay, so this is basically going to talk to the control box on the wall as to what inlet and outlet delta is. And what that'll do is send communication to the expansion valve on what it's to do as far as opening and closing. So the liquid refrigerant is carrying the cooling. The liquid refrigerant is carrying the cooling into the evaporator, and I got it listed as suction, but gas. So our gas refrigeration is carrying the absorbed heat back to the outdoor unit. So these thermistors here, I got them zoomed in. Basically, it just clamps onto the pipe outside of the air handling unit, and that's 18.2 wire back to the control boxes individually. So we got gas and liquid. On this drawing, I got suction on there, but it's gas. So these are the terminals for that, 18.2. So that's always monitoring what our delta is across that coil. So our liquid would be going into that through the coil and then out through here, and it's reading that and sending a signal to this expansion valve on what we need to do to help temper that air appropriately. So those sensing bulbs all terminate at these control boxes. And I believe, okay, these control boxes also need 208 power to each for our power contractor. And the iTouch manager will be showing, all the information associated with what's taking place in these control boxes. So this is just your digital or TV display on the wall showing what's taking place with each of these 4 units. So this was a nice project. Really enjoyed working with the design team as well as the owner's rep to get this done. They were great, really easy to work with. If anyone has any questions related to this system or the installation, I'd be happy to answer any questions related to that. Thank you for watching.